What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Strong Tower Podcast, where we talk about fitness and faith. We want you to like, subscribe, review. We want to hear your comments on the show and really be able to grow from it. So that's why we want to hear from you. We want to get some feedback and we want to interact with you guys, all you subscribers, all you listeners. We also thank you for listening to the show. So today we're doing a Throwback Thursday. We're throwing it back to episode 65 with Alex Austin. Alex is a worship leader at a church in Florida. And man, we go through 2 hours of conversation, and I think we covered just about everything there is to cover. So it was fun talking to him, and I really enjoyed it, and I hope you guys do too. It's my foundation. It's my faith. It's my work ethic. It's my drive. It's everything that I've tried to build for myself that has made me who I am.
I'll do what it takes to make you believe.
How's it going, man?
Bro, you got the diffuser going?
Oh, dude, yeah. It's called pixie dust. It's like a pineapple smell.
Okay, that sounds a little shady. Like you're diffusing something special in there.
Hey, man, I wish, but no, it's so we got it from, it's like a candle company that Disney owns. It's called like the Magic Candle Company. So we got all these special, like all these oils that smell like different kinds of rides or the hotels at Disney World. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
They got a stanky old pirate smell for the Pirates of the Caribbean?
Nah, they do have the burning smell. You ever been in the big ball at Epcot?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have like the burning smell that when you go through there.
Wow.
Yeah, it's awful. It actually made me nauseous. Yeah, it's bad.
Bro, people here are obsessed with Disney because it's like an hour away from us because it's Orlando.
Well, I was wondering how far you lived away from it.
So if you go to Orlando and you're hanging out at Disney World and then you take a 1 hour straight shot to the beach, that's pretty much where we're at.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Because I mean, me and my wife, we're trying to like, I don't think it'll be anytime soon, but like maybe in the future, like move to Florida, and we want to be close to Disney World, but we know it's like expensive around that area. So at least a good enough drive where we can go like for a date night and just like go there and eat. You know what I mean? Just something like that.
That's the Space Coast, bro. That's where we are. Just come move here, dude.
For real. What made y'all move there though?
Bro, are we starting?
Yeah, we can if you want. That's fine. Get into it.
Yeah. So basically, bro, it wasn't really planned at all. My dad's from Florida originally. Okay. That's where he grew up. But when he married my mom lived in Maryland. And so they decided they're going to live in Maryland, which is like the worst decision ever. If you have Florida and Maryland and the choices, I don't know why they decided to go to Maryland, but
right.
So I lived there my whole life. And then I turned like 18 and I moved to Australia. That's where I met my wife. And when we got married, my dad's cousin is a pastor here so this is where my dad's family still lives. So he knew I was doing a year away, and he basically told me if I want to work there when I come back at his church, if we decide to move to, because at that point we're like, are we moving to America? Are we going to live in Australia? We don't really know. But we had some non-negotiables like, God, if you want us to be in America, there's got to be some sort of opportunity. And this came up. It was like the only option. So we're like, okay, well, that must be what we're supposed to do. So we moved to Florida, and I've been on staff. This is Discover Life Church. And I just cut that like super short. But that's the basic gist of why we moved to Florida, is because they offered a job. So I've been here for 6 years in November, which is like a month away. It's crazy.
Wow.
Can't believe, like, I feel like last month they were saying 5 years, woo, and then now it's like freaking 6 years. Number 6 went by like weird, dude.
So is your wife Australian or is she American? And you just met
Bro,
her.
she's a freaking Australian babe, dude.
You know what I mean?
So freaking awesome. Yeah, I went to Australia, and if you're like a 6 in America, when
Yeah.
you go to Australia or like overseas, you immediately go to like a 8 or a 9.
Oh, really?
Like when you hear a girl and she starts talking with another like a Australian accent or like English accent, you're like, oh my gosh. And she might not even be that hot, but because she's talking like that, you're like,
Right.
oh wow.
Oh, I
I think
know,
that
man.
worked in my favor in Australia because she's like so far out of my league, dude. She's like 2 years older than me. She had all her life together, and I was just like this punk kid that came over. It's definitely like only God. So she moved from Melbourne, Australia to Melbourne, Florida,
That's
which is
funny.
that
That's
is funny. It's a huge downgrade because Melbourne, Australia is
yeah.
like a big booming city, but we have beaches here, so that's what people love about Melbourne, Florida.
Yeah, for
But
real.
yeah, dude. So it's been weird.
That's crazy because like me and my dad actually lived in Australia when he was like real little, maybe like 5 or 6 or something like that, right?
Yeah,
So growing up, he got me into Australian football. He actually
bro.
we both played on a team in Philly
That is awesome.
because they have the USAFL,
Okay.
and we actually played for the Hawks, which is Hawthorn, which is my favorite team from Hawthorn, Australia. So
Now, dude, we
um,
we represent the Bombers in my house, okay? Because my
that's what my
father-in-law
dad
is a
likes.
Bombers
That's what
fan.
my dad likes. Yeah,
I
Essendon.
went and saw a match one time with Hawthorne and Essendon, and Essendon won, and that
Yeah.
was awesome because we came with Hawks fans, so it was good to kind of rub that in their face. Bro, they're so
Yeah.
competitive over there, dude. Like as
Oh,
soon as their team starts losing, you just see them instantly sit back, and they're just like, "This is bull crap," you
yeah.
know.
Yeah,
And we're
man.
like, "What now? What?" Dude, they take it so seriously, man,
Yeah, I mean, and it's so fun because it's like nonstop. You
all the
know,
time.
that's why
All,
since now they're showing it more on TV. My dad's been like, he hasn't watched NFL at all. He's just
yeah.
all AFL, and I'm going over his house to watch the grand final. Um, I think it's later this month. But
Bro,
both
I
of our
haven't kept up with
teams,
it at all since I've been over here, so that's cool. You guys still watch it.
yeah. I mean, like I got the subscription package and stuff, so I could watch all the games. And you
Mm-hmm.
know, me being a Hawthorne fan didn't turn out too well because they're awful.
Yeah, it's weird though, dude, because I mean, in the NFL, I feel like teams kind of stay the same for a long time, but I feel like the AFL they cycle through a lot more, and the like the kind of playing ground like
hmm
shifts between teams more often. But that's cool, dude.
Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying the episode. Just want to take a break for a second and talk about, you know, you're building your immune system. We talk so much about what we're doing these days with masks and stuff like that. And yes, it's a great temporary help, but we want to focus on longevity. We want to focus on the long term. What can really help you, even if you get a cold or the flu or the virus, whatever. You want to be able to beat it. You want to be able to get through it with no problem. And that's having a strong immune system. And what can help you with that? You want to go to stnutrition.com. You can look for Onward. You can look for Every Damn Day. Those are two things that can really help your immune system along with your diet and exercise. And I've been preaching that since day one when this thing started because no one talks about it. You go to stnutrition.com. You can save 10% by using the code STRONG, STRONG, and try EDD Every Damn Day and also Onward. Check it out. Back to the episode. Here we go.
Yo, your dad is a boss, bro.
Oh yeah.
I remember. Yeah, so, dude, I don't know if you remember this, but like we went to school together
Yeah.
at Red Lion Christian Academy,
Right.
and I went there for fifth, sixth, and seventh grade. And you would have been, what year did you graduate
Oh
high
nine.
school? Oh nine.
Yeah.
So you were 3 years. I got a good Red Lion Christian Academy
Yeah.
education. You
Yeah.
see, I got to count with my fingers. But yeah, so 3 years before
So
me.
my
And
sister, my sister was above you. Was she a year
yeah,
above you? Okay.
yeah, she was Alyssa. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I remember looking at you and some of the guys here. And it's funny, dude, because like our perception of people it doesn't really change over time. So I still look at you as like a big kid and I'm a little kid because I was in like 7th grade when you would have been like in 10th or 11th. So
Yeah, that's funny.
anyways, but I remember your dad being this guy, this teacher there and doing the photography and videography stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being like, this dude's a pro. What's he doing freaking teaching classes? This
Yeah.
guy should be like doing documentaries for Discovery Channel or something. Like, I just always thought that was so cool, dude. Your dad was awesome. And I never really interacted with him. It's just from what I was seeing and like stuff I see now. Then I see like John doing all his scooter videos and stuff. And I
Yeah.
see you doing the podcast. I'm like, that's definitely like a trickle down from your dad's influence, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, and it started with his dad. You know, his dad actually did photography for weddings and stuff like that. He wasn't as professional as my dad is.
Yeah,
But my dad, I mean, he's a pro, you know, and he actually teaches media arts now at Redline, not math.
that's cool.
So they actually
That's cool.
created a class just for him to teach.
Yeah,
And I was like, that's so, it's so much needed now because you got people, imagine how many things, like, I've seen so many people leave high school and start doing photography,
yeah,
you know, and everyone can take
yeah.
pictures with their phone, but it's not the same.
No. And dude, it's so accessible now. Like there was a time where if you were going to be a photographer, we're talking you're dealing with negatives and
Yeah.
film and it's expensive and just developing the pictures themselves was an art form and there was
Mm-hmm.
different processes and strategies to go about that. And now we're in the digital world, so it's like, bro, anybody can pick it up with tools that cost way less than what used to be available. And it's funny how back then they had photography classes and these, rooms to develop it and everything. And it seemed like schools are putting more funding into it. And now that it's easier, they're like not doing anything. It's like you could be doing a photography class and like coming up with some amazing stuff right now
Mm-hmm.
for way cheaper than what your budget would have been before for a multimedia class. And it's stuff they can take away with them, you, you
Yeah.
know, because now you could have a blog or you could have a YouTube channel, you could have a podcast, it could be a side gig, it could be a full-time thing. And a lot of that is more valuable in today's world than some of the other stuff that they put so much like attention to in school. So it's pretty cool that they've set aside that, and that's the right spot for him, bro. I bet he's loving that.
Oh yeah, I mean, and you get to teach like different things that you can't really learn by yourself, like how to edit a video, or
Yeah,
like they make commercials like with green screen and different effects and how to use that and utilize it
yeah,
and angles, and you know it's easy to watch something
yeah.
and you think it's easy to put together, you know,
Uh-huh.
but then you think how much goes into it.
Yeah,
Like even just how much goes into someone interviewing someone. You watch the news and you see just an interview. You don't know
yeah.
how much lighting and how many cameras are around. It's
No,
ridiculous.
no.
It's a
And
packed
people
room.
think it's really easy. I've heard on average, I've heard this. I've looked it up before and found it's true because I still believe it. I would have been like, nah, it's bull crap. But I still tell people this. So whenever I looked it up, it must have been somewhat accurate. But like for editing videos, it's like about 1 minute of footage. And we're talking like interview type stuff, not
Hmm.
animation or anything. But for like 1 minute of editing, or sorry, for 1 minute of final product is about an hour of editing.
Oh yeah.
And so I don't know if you know, that's like probably during COVID season for sure, but like even before that, that's like a huge portion of my responsibility here at Discover Life Church.
Oh, okay.
Uh, so I oversee so my actual title was worship pastor. So on Sundays I lead worship and everything, but during the week I oversee our video team, and I am kind of like the final. We have our executive team, of course, but right before that, I'm kind of like the final check on whether this stuff looks good or whether we're going to use it. So I have a lot of the media stuff on my plate, and I've always enjoyed that stuff, but certainly didn't go to school for it. So I've kind of picked it up over the 5, 6 years that I've been here. I've done audio editing with music and stuff more,
Hmm.
but in the past 2 years, bro, like I spend my whole uh, like probably half of my week in Final Cut Pro, just
Yeah.
or sorry, whoa, why am I blanking right
Premiere.
now? Final Cut Pro is
Is the Mac.
yeah, yeah. So I'm doing that. I was thinking Logic. I got Final Cut Pro and Logic. I'm getting the two mixed
Oh,
up.
okay, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, but I found that to be true, dude. Like a minute of final product, they're like, oh, it's a 3-minute video. I was having down like, dude, that took me half of my day, bro. Like, and that's not including the 2 hours of filming to capture it so every Sunday we have in the middle of our services, 3-minute testimony video. Always. So we're like really big on capturing people's stories. I think it's one of the like most important things that a person can use to talk about God. Yeah, you know God's real because of your experience with him. I know God's real because of my experience with him. And every person has probably multiple stories, but at least like a perspective of here's something that happened in my life. So we want to give people the opportunity to tell those stories. So we put that in our service every Sunday. So every week we're generating this content and it never goes away. It's always happening. So I'm always, hey, anybody have anybody that has a story, and people are sending me names. I'm contacting them, setting it up, bringing them into the room. Then we have like a team that records it. And we have another guy who does some editing, and me and him kind of share that responsibility. So it's weird, dude. I have noticed how much work goes into it. Look, like now, and it's funny when I hear people, I'm like, you don't actually have any idea what you're talking about. Because when you say it's only going to take this long, it's like, well, maybe, like if it's really crappy, but like if you want it to be good, you got to spend the time in it. So, but that's been a shift for me in COVID because for a while, we're not having services even like in person.
Right, yeah.
So even the experiences were being edited, and then like we're pre-recording and doing all that. And man, it was, so I've learned a lot in this last year in the audio visual side of the multimedia stuff for sure.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm the same. Everything that I know, I've taught myself. And it's
Yeah,
funny because sometimes my wife will be like, "Oh, I want to learn how to edit." I'm like, it's hard for me to teach because I learned a way that helps me.
yeah.
I I don't know what you're supposed to do. You know what I
I
mean?
say that to people and I show them like, hey, this is how I do it, but you should probably watch some videos
Yeah.
because like I don't know if this is the right way. I love shortcuts, bro. So I learn a lot of the
Yeah.
shortcuts. But so even when somebody is watching me, I say, oh, just watch me edit. But because I'm using all the shortcuts, they're like, well, what did you just do? What are you doing? Because they
Mhm.
don't even see like the clicker move. I'm just switching through stuff using the shortcuts.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude, it's a huge learning curve too. When you first start, you're probably looking at like 3 hours for every minute. One hour of editing for a minute of video is probably more on the proficient side of things. Yeah,
Yeah, and I mean, I used to do like cinematic videos. I was big into that, and I mean,
that's awesome.
and those are like one like a 60 second to 90 seconds. Take me a whole week to edit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
you're
dude.
finding the certain things, and then like you want to speed it up and slow it down, and you're adding all these like little things to it that you don't
Yeah,
even notice as a regular person watching.
right.
But then I do. Like I'll be watching something, I was like, oh, I hate that. And my wife's like, what? What are you talking about?
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes I lean into that because I'm like, because we're doing so much stuff. I'm like, well, is anybody gonna notice this? Like, only I'm gonna notice this,
Mm-hmm.
and we're gonna show. It's gonna be 3 minutes. Like, okay, it's not like it's gonna hang out on this thing for a long time. So sometimes I'm like, it'll be fine. Just leave it in. Because for us, like the importance in cinematography, dude, the final product is the art, bro. Like that,
Mm-hmm.
it's as important as the story, right? So for us, it's like we're literally setting up a camera. They're sitting in front of a backdrop, and the story is the most important thing. So
Mm-hmm.
I try not to get too caught up on like, man, that lighting wasn't perfect, or there's this shadow here,
Yeah.
um, so anyway, the hardest thing for what we do is we're taking sometimes 20 minutes of a person's story and chopping it down to 3. And
Right.
so I start at 20 minutes, then I get it down to like 10, then I get it down to like 5, then I get down to like 4, then I get down to like 3.
Mm-hmm.
And by the end of it, It's like really a small sliver, and I try and take the best parts and like make it a coherent thought. And so that's the most time consuming part for what we're doing, because like the editor is actually in a lot of ways like they're deciding what goes in it or what doesn't.
Right.
But that's another part of the reason why we don't just have anybody doing it, because it is like an important thing. So
And
but
have you ever had like people say like, "Oh, why did you take this part out or that part out?"
so a lot of people, when I approach them and I say we have 3 minutes, they think their story is too good for 3 minutes. Like
Mm,
a lot of people are like, "Oh man, I've been through a lot, and you're gonna need an hour." And I'm like, "Well, here's the thing, dude. Like we, everybody has a story. It's all really good, yes. So what I encourage people to do is like pick a portion then. Don't give us your whole life story, cuz yeah, that does deserve a documentary. Yeah, that is something awesome that we can't put down to 3
right.
minutes.
That's what a
So,
podcast is for.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, but give me like a specific scenario
Mm-hmm.
where there's like a you can see and there's like a resolution to it. And some people do give us their life story, but they're not as wordy and they don't give all the details, and we can fit it in like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
When I was young, I grew up in a Christian home. Then I fell away from the past. I turned to the wrong things, but then this thing happens. Usually something tragic or like a wake up call. And
Mm-hmm.
then people are like, okay, I need to get my life right. And a lot of the people are giving their stories, they end up getting saved at Discover Life Church. So when they come in, they give their hearts to Christ. And now, okay, here's what my life is like. We can usually do that in 3 minutes, but some people have like crazy stories, man, crazy testimonies. I also get the opposite side where I'm like, hey, dude, you want to do a testimony? They're like, I don't really have anything good. And I'm like, bro, that's a testimony in and of itself that like nothing horrible has happened to you,
Mm-hmm.
that you've been able to live a life, and God's been using you your whole life. That's awesome. So then that might be, well, they serve as an usher. So hey, talk about serving as an usher. What's that been like for you?
Right.
So because we try to tie all the testimony videos back to like either leading people to Christ, so it's going to be encouraging to them and makes them want to like take a next step, or we're going to talk about getting into a small group because we have our cliques, because we think you know biblical Christian community like Acts type. We're a big church, dude. So you're not gonna get that. Oh, what Jimmy called me the other day, and me and Ethel went out for lunch with old Harry, and it was great. You're not gonna get that
Yeah.
on Sundays at our church. That is the senior small group specifically talk about right there.
Right.
That's the seniors. And so, but they meet every week, and they do have that, and they bring in their cake and donuts, and they have coffee, and they meet and they have their Bible studies. And old Ethel and Harry and Bill and Jim, they're all hanging out. That does happen, but a lot of people from Sunday to getting into that group, there has to be a connect. So we try to use the testimony videos for that, also for serving. So if you want to get plugged in, for me, if you're a musician, you're joining worship. We also have the kids department, and then we have first impressions, which is like the ushers, greeters, parking lot team. So we try to a lot of problems. A lot of churches spread themselves thin because they have like so many different things,
Mm-hmm.
and we have a few core things, and anything that we do has to pour into one of those core things. So that would be our Sunday experiences, which is very evangelistic. We have our small groups, which is like discipleship, and then we have serving, which is like using your purpose. And those three areas, we try to tie them together. That's what everything's going to pour into one of those areas or achieve the goal of those ministries in some way. So like if we have a men's conference, we're gonna at the end of that try and build a bunch of men's small groups, get people
Right.
plugged in. If we have a women's conference, we're gonna try and do that with women. Um, so that's one of the that's one of the things that helps us stay focused,
Yeah.
like on what's actually important. Bro, what church do you go to right now?
Me, I don't go to church at all right now. I follow a church on YouTube.
Yeah, what church is that?
I don't even know what the church is called. It's Pastor Stephen Furtick.
Yeah, Elevation, bro.
Elevation, that's what it is. Yeah,
Freaking love
man.
them, dude.
Yeah, I mean
Yo,
that dude just it seems to, he seems to understand like the younger mindset and
yeah.
just trying like he reaches my heart a lot more than what these older guys would. Um, the church, the church I was at,
Yeah, man.
a lot of I don't know, man. Like I just had my fill of churches over my life,
Yeah,
and I've argued with my family like with my opinions about it and stuff like that. Uh, and I just have I worry about my relationship with Christ. You know what I mean? I know
yeah,
church is great to fellowship with other Christians and stuff like that, but all I see is hypocrisy a lot of times.
yeah,
And I'm not saying all the time, but like I've had moments in my life that stand out in my head and I remember them, and it's just all I remember is the people at church driving these kids or this couple away from the church.
yeah,
I'm just like, what are you doing? But because
yeah, man.
they're different
Yeah,
and they're
dude.
not members here, they're not part of your clique, all that kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So when I started getting older, like I actually started really becoming into my faith like just a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I've been in Christian school, Christian church my whole life, and I've just
That
been trying
sometimes
to,
is damaging, bro. You get desensitized to it because you're around it all the time.
yeah.
I know what that's
I
like.
mean,
Yeah.
church 3 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Sunday night, Sunday morning, Wednesday night.
Yeah.
And it was just I was just tired of it. And I tried
Yeah.
to run away from it, and then again. And also, like what you were saying before, everyone has this like crazy story where like, oh, I was a drug addict and I came off drugs and I found the Lord, and someone could be sitting there and being like, oh, I didn't go through all that. You know,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like,
Most people don't, but
right?
we love to highlight those stories because that's like, wow, look what God did.
Of
And it's
course.
like a lot of people are sitting there like they celebrate it, right? But they're thinking my story's not that good.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate that. I don't like that.
But yeah, man. I mean, and for me, I don't. A lot of my family sees a problem with it with me not going to church. I don't really have too much of a problem because I talk to a lot of people about my faith that don't understand it, um, that think it's a fairy tale
Yeah.
and all these things, And I was like,
Yeah.
I've never done that in all my years at church. I've never talked this much
Yeah.
about my faith in Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't
Isn't
know.
that funny, dude? That's terrible, but that's how it is, man. So that's bro, when I grew up in church too, so you and I are
Hmm.
probably very similar backgrounds. We went to church a lot. My family was very plugged in. My dad served. At one point in my life, my mom was like, so my dad plays drums, so he would always play on the worship team. And my mom at one point was a children's pastor at a church. So we were super plugged in all the time, dude.
Yeah.
And I Bro, I really didn't like church people. I still don't like the church people
Hmm. Yeah.
because church people are often not Jesus people. They're just religious, uh, more like a Pharisee than Jesus in a lot of ways, like
Right.
super uh pointing fingers, high and mighty, um unwilling to listen. And you can if you can't listen to people, you can't understand them, and if you can't understand them, then you can't love them, and the whole point of this crap is to love people. So if you're not freaking listening, you're not loving. So
Hmm.
you ain't Jesus, you're a Pharisee.
Right.
Like, but that's a lot of church people. So I grew up experiencing that, dude.
Hmm.
uh there was a church that my parents went to. I try to honor, bro. So like I could immediately start dogging churches, bro, and being like, this church did this and this church did that.
Oh
And I
yeah,
went to
yeah.
this school and they did that. And like, I
Hmm.
don't want to do that.
Right.
Uh, but one of the churches, I think the pastor's a fantastic guy. My parents, we went there, but you had church people in church. Your
Hmm.
pastor could be amazing, but you're always going to have the Christian church people, and you're going to always have to fight that. We even fight that here, bro. We probably do it here more actively, but you have to fight that. But I remember coming into youth group, right? We wore skinny jeans back before skinny jeans were like a thing,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So we were like skating and stuff, and so we wore the skinny jeans, and I was into metal music, and hardcore scene was like my thing. So I'm coming into the youth group. We're a Christian family. Obviously, I'm Christian. All the metal music I listen to, if you just read it, it's like these are Bible verses practically, dude.
Exactly. Yeah.
But they're yelling it, so it's demonic. It's got to be.
Yeah.
It's got to be, right?
The devil's
So,
music.
but come in and I remember some of the other youth kids telling me their parents had told them like they weren't allowed to hang out with me and my brother Jacob because we wore skinny jeans. And I remember thinking like, what the heck is going on here? And it was like around that age where I was like, okay, all my presumptions, all everything I thought is accurate, dude. Like these people are not they care more about keeping their children in this like little Christian bubble than they are about reaching. Because, dude, I was interacting with a lot of kids who weren't Christians or were confused about it, and I was like, dude, these kids need to hear about the stuff that we're talking about, and yet we don't want them coming in because they might become friends with our kid and maybe try and influence them in a negative way. And it's like, dude, that is so opposite of what we're supposed to do. And so people take like the in the world, but not of it, right?
Yeah.
We're separate. We've got to be a light in the darkness. Well, that means the light hits the darkness.
Yeah.
It's not. So putting your light under it, like covering up your light, which it talks about, don't cover up the lampstand, like show it so that everyone can see it. I think putting a Christian bubble on it that's actually covering it up, because now you're not being a representation of Christ. You just created your own little world away from all that stuff. You're like protecting your kids from it. So that's the environment I grew up in, and I hated it, bro. So when I turned like I guess I would have been like 16 or 17, I helped plant a church that was totally different. It was it's called True Life Church. It's still going strong in Newark, Delaware. I freaking love those guys. And they started out in a movie theater, and I was in high school leading worship. And I remember Pastor Michael came to me and he's like, "Hey, dude, I hear you hate church, but like you love God." And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I hate church. I freaking hate church. But I love God. I love Jesus. I think this is the right thing. I think we're onto something here, but church sucks." And he'd be like, "Yeah, I hate church too." And I'd be like, "Wait, aren't you planning a church?" And he'd be like, "Yeah, let me tell you about it." I was like, "Oh, snap, hook, line, and sinker, dude." I was in. I was like, dude, when the pastor says he hates church, because the whole idea was like, let's build a church that loves people and doesn't do that stuff.
Yeah.
So then being in ministry and seeing that and seeing lives actually get changed, I was like, dude, this is what I want to do forever. This is what I want my whole life to do. And dude, at that time, I wasn't even doing everything the right way. You know, I was living a double life in a lot of aspects. I was leading worship, and I had my Christian friends, and then I was going to public school, and so I had friends outside of church for the first time ever, right? High school, now it's public. Oh my gosh, I'm not in the Christian bubble. And I went ham, dude. I just did everything I wanted to do, and it was good and bad, So I was making music, but I was also being in the wrong places at the wrong time with the wrong people, and still leading worship on Sundays at the same time. And I saw the grace of Pastor Michael Smith, and him to say, "Hey, you're jacked up, but I think you need to be here, and God can still use you even in your place of brokenness." So then I'm like, wow, this is the real deal. This is complete opposite of everything I've ever been a part of. And ultimately, that strategy changed me more than the strategy of you can't be here unless you get your crap together.
Right.
And it was like, even though your crap is not together, you belong here. And then that, wow, oh my gosh, the strategy of Jesus, it actually works. Like, so, and after that time, I went to Australia. I did an internship at a church over there for a year. I ended up dating the pastor's daughter.
Oh yeah.
Not a good move. That caused some drama,
I bet.
but it worked out, and we got married, and so we moved back here. So I knew at that point I wanted to do ministry because of like what you're saying. People like you and people like me who have been broken, hurt, abused by the church, and we, bro, I hate that. Like
Yeah.
I if I see people trying to act higher than thou, mightier than thou. It's like, bro, can you please just shut up and listen? You need to listen. And it's funny, dude, because our church right now, we've been doing a lot of that, and it's right, like right smack. Hey, we're going here, dude. Let's freaking talk about it. Is like the politics
Yeah.
and the race things
Mhm.
that are happening right now,
Yeah.
dude. That's another big problem with churches. Is Sunday at 9 a.m. is the most segregated hour in America, bro.
Is it
You got
really?
black churches, you got white churches,
Oh
you got
yeah.
Spanish churches. Bro, everybody, it's like, what is going on here? I thought heaven looked like everybody, all
Yep.
nations.
Yep.
So why the heck are we like separated like this? And so we fought really hard at Discover Life. We have African Americans, we have a ton of Puerto Rican people, Mexican people, we have Asians, people from the Philippines, people from China, people from Thailand, people from all over the world. We have Europeans, we got Australians, we have people from England, we have white, black, everywhere in between, dude. We got them all here. There's people on staff, there's people in leadership. Uh, we are more ethnically diverse than our actual like area, like the region, the zip
Mhm.
code. So, and we have fought for that, dude, because we know that a lot of times black people are not comfortable coming into a white church with a white pastor. And like, dude, they get crap from that, from their family members in their community.
Wow.
Oh, you going over to that white man's church? Like that's the attitude. And so we've had to earn trust and say, well, hold on. And here's where we had to do that. We had to step up to the plate because you have George Floyd being murdered, and you have all these rioting and protesting against police brutality and racial injustice.
Mhm.
And we can shut up, dude, and we can be quiet and we can pretend like it's not happening. Or we can be like, you're talking about this. This is stuff everybody's arguing about on Facebook. So we're going to talk about it and like give a clear, healthy perspective on it.
Right.
And so we've been meeting, bro. We've been meeting with people in small group settings with African Americans, white people, bringing them together. We're calling them our unity forums. And we've been like discussing this so ever since the death of George Floyd, bro, every week since then, throughout the coronavirus lockdowns, we were doing it virtually, but now we're back in person. And dude, it's just weird because the church has for so long been like not relative. So when we're talking about the stuff that you and I have dealt with,
Mhm.
but then we're also talking about like the things that are going on in culture,
Right.
and the church is just like, oh, we're doing our own thing. We have our worship services, and oh, the Lord is doing great things. And it's like, yeah, how many
Right.
people got saved last year? Like, how how for a lot of churches, how much did you give to missions? How many
Mhm.
missionaries did you support? You know, how many people got off drugs? Yes, or but not just as important as that. How many people weren't on drugs? They just needed community, found a group of friends, like, and that's how we should be measuring like the success that we're doing, uh, what God's moving. So that's a big thing for us, dude. We're talking about making sure that our church looks like heaven, and that means everybody's welcome. And a lot of people forget when you ask, like, dude, I'm gonna ask you a question.
Yeah.
What is the number one thing that you remember being taught in church? Like, what was the number one takeaway? Positive, negative? Like for me, maybe would have been like, don't wear skinny jeans. Like that would be the one thing that really had an impact on me that church taught me as a kid.
In church, I think the number one thing that when you say that, the first thing that came to my mind was it's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve.
Bro, bro, that is a perfect example of the church just picking a sin because it's the one that probably they don't deal with,
Yeah.
and just dude,
Mhm.
homosexuality and homosexuals over time have become like the whipping post of Christians, bro.
Yeah.
We want to put them on the stand. We want to try them and freaking like it's so wrong, dude. And hey, Revelations 21:8 describes sexual immorality and liars and all the sins that you deal with, they're on there too, bro. Like, why do
Exactly.
we pick that one? So So, dude, that's the problem. I've never asked anybody that question. Pastor Ken, he's a pastor here at Discover Life Church. So he has this thing that he does. He asks people that, and he said like he's been doing it he's been a pastor here for like 15 years. Might be closer to 20, dude. It's been a long time. But he's been asking people that question for a long time. And he said nobody has ever said the right answer because church has taught people the wrong thing. Like anybody who comes from church is damaged, bro. They've been taught the wrong thing. Because when the Pharisees asked Jesus, what is the number one commandment? He said, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And then he said the second is just as important as the first, which means there's not one most important, there's two most important commands. And it's love your neighbor as yourself, or treat others as you would have to be treated.
Right.
So love God and love people. And Stephen Furtick would have said that a lot, dude. They talk about that. There's a lot of churches who are getting this right, bro. But the number one and number two command is love God and love people. And that should be, if the church did it right, whenever somebody asks that question, that should be the first thing they say. Oh yeah, love God, love people. That's most important, obviously. No, dude, we suck. The church has sucked at teaching that. We focused on it's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. And it's like, yeah, but Adam and Steve, they came into church on Sunday because they were looking for Jesus. And Steve came down to the yeah. Or like here at Discover Life, dude, we've had married couples come in, married homosexuals come in. One of them gets saved. Well, now is the first conversation we have is like, hey, you got to divorce your husband of 5 years who you have a kid with.
Mm-hmm.
No, that is not the conversation that you have. That is not the conversation. So you say, hey, God loves you. And if we get them plugged into discipleship community, which here would be like our small groups, and then the conversation comes up. There's a woman who serves in our, this is so cool, bro. We're going to do a video soon about it, but her name is Judy. She's been here longer than I've been here. So over 6 years, maybe 7, 8, 9 years. She's serving in our production booth. She's been doing that since before I was here. So she's on the computer. She clicks the lyrics while people are singing in our worship experience. Bro, she's married to a guy named John, Judy and John. I love them so much, dude. She was married to a woman when she came to Discover Life. Married to a woman, came, got saved, and we didn't know she was married. We got her plugged in on the worship team, and she was singing and leading worship. And then we're like, hey, we never met Judy's husband. And then this is in the early stages of Facebook, and somebody was stalking and saw Judy doesn't have a husband. She has a wife. And it's like, well, now what do we do? She's been leading worship. We've been loving her. She's been saved. She's obviously growing. We see her relationship with God is just being strengthened, and she's being discipled. And then there's this. So now what do we do? Right? So, and it's amazing, dude, because in the process of conversations and loving Judy, she found scriptures herself that convicted her to go to her wife and say, listen, I think we just need to separate. I feel like this could be keeping me from growing in my relationship with Christ. And that was her own personal convictions, but it's just because we were just loving her, dude. We were just having conversations with her. We didn't say, you have to divorce your wife. Like that we never did that. The Holy Spirit worked in her life and revealed this stuff to her and, used people to have loving conversations. But at the end of it, her and her wife both attended Discover Life separately. She ended up meeting a man, getting married. Her wife passed away, but she was in the church too. So yeah, like this amazing story. I could show you hundreds of examples of churches that did it wrong, bro. Yeah. They did it wrong because those people who came in, they got rejected and they're not here anymore. And right now we're talking about homosexuality, but dude, there's a hundred sins that's happened with, dude.
But I think some people, like if they heard that story, they would kind of take it the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Kind of
tell me what you mean.
So kind of like the way you're talking about, like, oh, we showed her love and all this other stuff, and then she decided herself to leave a woman and be with a man. You know what I'm saying? So what if a woman was like that, but then she didn't be with a man? You know what I'm saying? So I think if other people would hear that, You know, they'd be
Yeah.
like, "Oh, that's just their nice way of saying of pushing me towards the opposites." You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. But the thing is, dude, it's like if you come here and you're a homosexual and that's something that
We're gonna
you,
love you
you could
anyway. It doesn't
you could
matter.
be married. Yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
man.
And at the end of the day, it is not my responsibility. It's not my responsibility to change you. That's God's responsibility. The Holy Spirit is going to change
Right.
people. And I trust the Holy Spirit to do all the changing in the ways that He wants in His own plan and purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Because whenever I try to do stuff my way in life, it never goes right.
Yeah.
So I'm always going to trust God to do the changing. Now, what I'll do is I'll answer questions, I'll help disciple, I'll help point you in the right direction according to what I believe, you know, God has spoken in His Word in the Bible and scriptures. And if you ask me questions, or then we'll talk, we'll have those conversations, but I'm not gonna freaking do it like I mean, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why are Christians are so mean? I'm not gonna be mean. I'm gonna love you. So
Yeah.
we say we love the hell out of people.
Oh, it
Because
makes
dude,
sense, man.
yeah, because so yeah, people could take that the wrong way, but that's just Judy's story. There's a lot of
Right.
other
There's a lot.
stories of
Right.
people here in the church, and Judy at the time, John told me, he's like, I asked her out, she said no at first, and she's like, I didn't know if I wanted to be with the man. Like
Mm-hmm.
I at that time I was going through a separation and I wasn't sure I wanted to do that, but John said he saw her and he said, "That's my wife." I said, dude, I hope you didn't tell her that
I
right away. He
know.
said, "No, no, no." But he's like, "But I had confidence to go and ask her out." I just
Yeah.
thought so. It's so funny, man. But Judy has an extreme heart for people from that background.
Yeah.
So like we had a very tragic there was a shooting happened in Orlando a few years ago
Mm-hmm.
at a gay bar
Right.
in Orlando. And Judy, I remember coming in a week or two after, and Judy's like, I had friends there. And I'm like, wow, that's that's tough. That's hard. And so she's like, s- still connected to a lot of the people who are there, showing God's love and being a good person still, right? Like we're supposed to be good people.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that's the key, dude, is to allow God to change people. Because if we try to change them, it never works. Like I can't say, oh well,
Right.
you're homosexual. I'm going to schedule a 1 hour meeting for the next 6 weeks, and we're going to get you gay free. Like, dude, that
Right.
doesn't work, man.
It doesn't even
That
work for
that
ourselves. You know what I mean?
no, exactly.
I just tried to take control of my life. I had huge anger issues. I'd be angry for
Yeah,
no reason. I had
yeah,
huge anger issues from middle school, from I can remember from middle school to, just a couple years ago.
yeah,
And I went to a therapist and all that stuff. I took medication
yeah,
and whatever, and nothing did it.
yeah,
It took my own personal work on it, and then
yeah,
also just talking to God about it.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then over time, man, I'm just getting better and better by letting things go and not letting things bother me as much, and just like I feel free from it, and it's
Yeah.
a big weight
That's
lifted off
good.
my back, man. And
That's good.
I'm telling you, like when I started getting back with talking to God, and just finding scripture and stuff like that like can pertain to my life and
Yeah.
just really motivate me and inspire me, um, things that just move forward,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
I'm I'm a lot more positive person, and I care about things. I'm passionate about things, and
Yeah.
it's helped me with my like small family that I have, my wife and my dog, like, and just help us move forward and get better every single day at whatever we're
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
And that's all because of
That's
God, not because of me.
right. All we can do is have like a willingness to say, okay, I will change.
Mm-hmm.
But if you try to like will it into happening, or you try to make it happen in your own strength, yeah, dude, it never works out. It never works out. I think you can definitely take steps to change, and that's kind of like our part. We do have a role in our transformation,
Mm-hmm.
in our journey of growth. We do have to take the steps. Uh, but it's like you're saying, I think the willingness to take each step. It's funny, dude, because when you take a step and you see like it turns out okay, then you're like, I'm more confident now to take the next step
Oh yeah.
and to take the next step because you see God just like kind of coming through, pulling through. Dude, I don't know. I don't know if are a lot of your listeners like are a lot of them Christians or have you found
Oh, dude, it's
like
everyone.
it's everybody.
It's
It's
everyone.
everybody.
Because I just have random people on. I have people that I
Yeah.
think are interesting that I want to talk to. Like for
Yeah.
you, like with you, um, first time I remember you playing up in chapel, and you were a little kid, man.
Oh my God, bro. There's some embarrassing videos that I need to take down because people could find those. Yes, dude.
Dude, but
Yes.
it's not even embarrassing. You were good.
Yeah.
Like even when you were little, I was like, "Dag, on."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So,
And the most music I ever did was like I was in a band for like a second, and I was the screamer. So it doesn't take any talent to do that. You know what I mean?
it does. It takes talent,
I
bro. It
mean, it's
takes
a
talent.
it's just something I figured out. That's all I see it as.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
man.
Well,
Like, what is that? Did you always feel that music was your thing? Because you were never shy about it. Like you were up there in front of all the high schoolers, like playing
yeah.
piano and like singing and stuff. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. So I had a bit of a complex when I was younger growing up, dude. Like, um, I I think so I was surrounded by people who were musicians. My dad's a drummer. Everybody in my family, extended family, they're all kick butt musicians, dude. They can all play multiple instruments, they can sing. So for me, the first thing was singing. And I remember my mom, she had me sing a song for like a service or something somewhere. That's the cool thing about church, bro, is like if I didn't grow up in a Christian home and I didn't have church, I would have had way less opportunities to make music.
Yeah.
So that's one of the cool
Hmm.
things that I love about church is that we do put music, we give it space,
Yeah.
which is great for people like me who, younger growing up. So anyway, I remember singing and I think I remember realizing like a lot of people telling me, "Oh, you did such a great job. Oh, that was very cool, man. You're gonna do so much with that." Like, and so I kind of got like this big head, and I was like, "Oh man, I think I think I'm good at this singing thing. Like, man, this is yeah, maybe I should like lean into that more." And we had a piano at my house. I'd play piano. My parents actually forced me to take piano lessons. So I wanted to play drums, and they're like, "No, before you play drums, you need to take piano lessons." And the whole idea behind that is the piano is like the best instrument for like a foundation for music
Right.
learning
Yeah.
because every note is visually visible. If you play a guitar, you've got a bunch of frets and strings. You have to put your finger on the fret and then play the string. That's how you hit a note. On a piano, every note is literally just a button.
Hmm.
So you can see all the buttons, so you can see all the notes. So if you
Okay.
learn on a piano, your brain just kind of locks that in. Now, when I play guitar, I'm able to visualize the notes on a keyboard while I'm playing it. So anyway, so I played piano, and then my dad eventually did buy me a drum set. I never took lessons because he just showed me how to play. And then, but the problem is, dude, it jacked me up over time. People telling me, "Oh, you do such a good job. Oh, you're
Yeah.
gonna go far with that," because I got cocky.
Hmm.
Pride is probably my number one problem, which is never good for somebody who is on stage in the spotlight.
Right.
Um, so it exacerbated that, made it worse. So when I was like 15, I thought, dude, when I'm 16, I'm trying out for American Idol. I'm gonna win and be famous. Like that's what I thought. I legit, dude, it's so stupid how legit like, I actually believe that, bro. Like, I actually thought I was that freaking good,
Yeah.
dude,
Yeah.
which is just so naive because there are so many really talented people out there. And so I ended up, I never did audition for American Idol, but I did pursue music in other realms. So I found a group of friends who played heavy metal music and my eyes were open. And I was like, this music is so number one, it was like super easy to write, and number two, it was just fun to play, and three, it got you girls, and that was like my
There you go.
like girls love this, dude. That's the thing, bro. You either had to be like a really good athlete or play guitar. And
Yeah.
I was not athletic around like middle school when everybody started going through puberty. I realized like, oh, some of us are made for this and some of us are not. That was me. So I was like, I'm gonna play guitar. So I got into that. And but anyway, so yeah, dude. So I've been doing music ever since then and playing in bands. And then I was seeing, oh, there's like we were playing shows and gaining fan base. I was in a couple different bands that I was like, wow, this could be something. But again, we were so young, dude, so naive. You know, we thought we're gonna get signed, and like, dude, life is not like that, dude. Like,
Oh yeah, it's
there's
tough,
no,
man.
there's, yeah, dude. It's chance, and so anyway, we just eventually over time, I really pressed into leading worship because that's at that time that's where I joined True Life and was planning a church, and it also gave me an opportunity to like lead, and that's where I was like, oh, I enjoy I enjoy leading people. I enjoy, uh, directing a team. So now I have a band, and they're following me, and I'm and that has helped me significant over the years because I do know how to play drums, I do know how to play piano, I do know how to play guitar, I do know how to play bass. So now I have this band of all these instruments. I know how to play them all. So if I want them to do something, I know how to tell them. But dude, that was all hours in my bedroom.
Yeah.
That's really what that was. Like you're talking about teaching yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I never had official guitar lessons. I had piano lessons, but I never had official drum lessons.
Right.
And I did piano lessons, and I remember going to. It was probably after like 2 or 3 years, and Mrs. Richwine, shout out Miss Richwine, my piano teacher. I said, so I told mom, I was like, I don't want to learn all this freaking box stuff and this junk sheet music. I was like, that's not what anybody is playing. I was like, I want to write music that I'm listening to. I don't want to go to school to Juilliard and do all that. I want to play pop music. Like that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
I wanted to perform and entertain. So I was like, teach me how to play chords. So she taught me how to do chords, which a chord is a triad. So you have the root note and then the third note and the fifth note. And you hit that, boom, you have a chord. You're going to hit the root note down at the bottom, a few octaves down, boom, you hit a chord. She taught me that, dude. I never had a piano lesson again because I was like, oh, this is how you do it now. Good. We're done.
Yeah.
We're done here. So, and then I had a few opportunities to play in church. Have Red Line. I think they started me on drums, and dude, I remember being nervous as dude. That was
Yeah.
fifth grade, so I they actually let me play for the elementary chapel, and dude, I'm sure it was horrible, but like they gave me an opportunity. And I remember, I think like the second time I played, I dropped my drumstick and I just sat there.
Oh
I,
man.
I didn't know. Pick up the drumstick and keep playing. No, I was like, well, we're done here. I just sat there awkwardly, like fifth grader, just scared out of my mind. But that was so learning experiences like that over time, and then learning that I'm not all that I think I am.
Yeah.
So when I was like in 11th grade, at this point I was like I didn't want to do American Idol or any of that crap.
Yeah.
But there was this family that I used to hang out with. They called me, they said, hey, we're taking a trip. I think it was to DC or Philly or somewhere. It was like a city nearby. They're like, hey, we're going, and you're trying out for the X Factor. That was like the first year the X Factor ever happened. Like, it's Simon Cowell's new show. You're gonna win. And I was like, I'm not doing that. But like, you paid for it. I don't know if they paid for it, but they signed me up. They paid to drive us up there. And they're like, we're gonna do it. And your brother can audition too. So Jacob came too. So we went up there. Dude, it was like 25,000 people because it was the first time ever for that show. And it was a big city. So 25,000 people show up. And I remember standing in line hours before thinking, this is stupid. Because it was like raining and it was cold. And I saw all these people, and I was like, they want this so much more than I do. Like these people are really hoping that they win, and I'm like, maybe something could happen, but if it doesn't, so what? So we auditioned, and Jacob, he didn't make it through the first round. He's a great singer, but
Yeah.
that's never his thing. He played guitar and stuff. He
Mhm.
didn't put as much effort into it, so he didn't make it. But I made it through the first round, so we ended up buying a hotel, and I think we made it through another round, and they're like, this is the last round before you would go on the show, and uh, and you were in front of producers, wasn't judges. They were
Mhm.
just deciding whether or not you were going to go in front of the judges, I guess. And and I remember sitting there. It was probably about like 200 people at this point. So we have 25,000 to 200 people, and we're surrounded by me and like some people who look normal, and then just straight up weirdos, bro. And I remember thinking like, these people can't sing. This is the whole. They're doing the American Idol thing again. They're bringing weirdos on, and that's it's the whole thing. It's a gimmick. And
Mhm.
so I
It's
remember, so when
TV.
I did the last round and I sang a song, and dude, I sang a I don't know if you remember, there's a song called "Children of Divorce" by Johnny Craig.
Okay.
So yeah, so like for me, that was like Johnny Craig is the best, like biggest, yeah. But he was like, that was the other thing, dude. If you played metal music, you thought the world of metal, and then you'd be like, ask a random person on the side of the
Yeah, they have
road,
no
hey,
idea.
bro, you know A Day to Remember? Like that's the biggest band at the time. They're like,
Yeah.
huh? And you're like, oh my gosh. So that I had a revelation there too, where I was like, even if we become the biggest metal band in the world, we'll still be nobodies. I
Yeah.
was like, this is not what I want to pursue. Anyway, so then I sang that song, and they said, do you have anything else? They're like, we don't know that song, so like we don't really know if like sing something we would know. And I think I did Hallelujah, Hallelujah, Hallelujah. And I
Okay.
was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
looking back now, I'm like, I think that like 80% of the auditions probably did that song. So so they said, okay, thank you. They like talked for a second, like, man, great job. You have a really great voice, but you're not what we're looking for the show this year. And I was like, cool. So me and my mom went home, and that was the end of that. But during that process, it was humbling because it made me realize like, wow, so many people want this. That was just one city. They were doing that in every city.
Mhm.
So who knows how many people auditioned for that show. And that's these people are also performing, and they have their own careers they're trying to build, and they're hoping they can get a big break by doing the show. So it's like all these people are trying to do this. And so that was discouraging to me in the sense that like I don't think I'll ever be famous. I don't think I'll ever be Justin Bieber. I'm not gonna be Miley Cyrus level.
Right.
Like, but but it made me realize like is that's okay. I still want to do this. Like I think at one point I would have not been okay with playing music if I knew it wouldn't get the fame and glory.
Yeah.
Like that was part of the motivation. But after that experience, I realized like, nah, even if I don't have any of that, I just love music and I love expressing myself. And even if we're not recording, dude, it's just me and four people, and nobody's ever gonna hear what we're playing. It's just fun.
Yeah.
We're just having fun, and that is something that I think, man, I'm glad I have that way to express myself, bro. Because if I didn't have the ability to write music and play music, what would that outlet be?
Right.
Maybe it would be uh, playing music, could be, or playing sports, could be drawing, could be, I don't know, poetry, could be filmography and photography.
Mhm.
But for me, it's music. And what's cool about music is it kind of permeates all of those things. The only even at sports, when you come out to a game, what's playing? The music.
Yeah.
Like what that's a part of the experience. At the halftime show, what is in the middle of it? Music.
Yeah, man. I
You
mean,
know?
I'll tell you the biggest part for me, like when I was going to church and stuff, is the music, and even now,
Yeah.
you know what I mean. The
Yeah.
music hits
Dude,
me harder.
Elevation has amazing music,
Oh,
bro.
dude, I
If you're
know.
watching them. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the music hits me harder than any sermon or message, whatever, anything a pastor could say.
Yeah.
Like the words, and I think about I don't know if you saw that movie about Jeremy Camp and his story. They came
I
out with.
haven't, but I love Jeremy Camp.
Yeah, man. I mean, and it just to actually put, his like kind of like a you get a picture of what he went through during that time.
Yeah.
And the song I Still Believe, when he was writing that, and I
Yeah.
think that's what the movie's called too.
Yeah.
When he wrote that song, you put the song, you think about the song, and then you see the actual film,
Yeah.
and you're just like, oh my gosh, like, and it just hits you hard.
Yeah.
And it's like I never thought about that song that way
Yeah.
until you actually you kind of like see it. You know what I mean?
I
And
love that about worship music, dude.
yeah,
Because there is whoever wrote the song, that was probably started as a private
yeah,
conversation.
yeah.
So I write music a lot, bro. And I heard Carrie Job, she's a great worship leader. She did that song. I think it was with Elevation, The Blessing.
Okay.
She's the girl that's singing that song. So she said one time in a workshop that I was a part of, she said that there are you'll write a lot of songs. Some of those songs are for you to put out, for
Mm-hmm.
people to sing along to, for you to play with the band, to do at a conference or do in a worship service. It's like, but other songs, it's just for you and God. He's
Mm-hmm.
like, I have songs that I've written that no one will ever hear because it's just a song for me and my relationship with God and my intimate moment. But all of those songs start in an intimate place where, so most of the time that I write a song, so what the process of my songwriting looks like, usually is I'm sitting on a piano, sometimes a guitar, but I have a old Rhodes from the 70s, which is an electric piano. It's like a highly sought after instrument. Just wild, crazy story. It ended up in my living room. So it's there. I love it. It's awesome. So I turn that on. It's just this unique sound I usually am playing. And then I just start praying. And for me, because I can sing, I just sing my prayers. And then usually I just shut up and I keep playing piano, but I can play piano and kind of turn my brain off. And that's kind of me just like listening. And sometimes God like brings words to mind, or I have a thought. And then usually if I'm like, oh, that might be something that we should sing in church, and then I'll write it down. And then so we do original. That's crazy, dude. I would never have that opportunity anywhere but in church
Mm-hmm.
to have, we're a church of thousands of people, to be here and we have multiple experiences. So like in the room at one time, say like 300 or 400 people singing along to a song that I wrote,
Yeah.
but it's not because they're like, it's not like rock and roll, like we're singing along because this is a great. It's like,
Right.
no, they're singing along and having an intimate, like something is happening in their heart, like God is changing them, and it's all because of some song, some words that I wrote down that God put on my heart,
That's
and
crazy.
then we did it with the band, and I see people putting their hands up and worshiping, and so at this point, when I came back from Australia, that was 5 years ago. I released an album, and it was just like 5 songs that I wrote, and that never. I wasn't at that time. I wasn't leading worship at a church in America. I was kind of back and forth. That was my in between phase before I went back to Australia and got married. Um, but at Discover Life about 3 or 4 years ago, we released the album. So it's DL Worship is the name of the band. Discover Life Worship, DL Worship, and that's on iTunes and stuff. So it's weird. I helped write an album that, and like my name is on every song. So other people have written stuff, but ultimately I just I don't know, dude. It's just a gift that I have and the experience that I have that I can just write songs and put music together. And I think part of that is just like trusting,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of people, they probably could write songs, but they don't think they can. So
Right.
I'll write crappy stuff sometimes and just be like, "What do you think?" And they're like, "That sucks, but this one part is good.
Yeah.
Let's take that." So anyway, so yeah, I have an album, and we have been doing songs here in church, and I've had people come to me and be like, "Hey, what is that song that you guys were singing? I've been looking it up. It's such an awesome song. Like God's been speaking to me." I'll be like, "Yeah, we wrote that." And that's just like, there's nothing more. So I talk about, what do I want to do with my life, dude? I haven't found anything more satisfying than that, because that's the gifts that I was given, and the ability to, and I'm sure rock stars experience that when they're playing in a stadium and everybody's singing along, bro. Like Bruce Springsteen is probably motivated by him in a stadium and everyone's just yelling, Bruce,
Right,
Bruce,
right.
Bruce. And everyone's singing, Born in the USA, right? Like that is probably, he's like, dude, this is what I was made to do. So now, like, do that and like add the spiritual level of like, yeah, there's an eternal impact happening,
Yeah.
bro. Can't beat that. And I have that opportunity here. So why would I ever try and run from that? That's kind of,
Yeah, man, that's cool.
I love
So
it.
I like to end these things by asking, like, what is your mindset and your motivation, like, moving forward with what you're doing in your life right now?
Bro, if anybody is listening right now and they're a believer and they're thinking about going into ministry, or maybe they're in ministry, just started, uh, if you're in ministry, you know this is true. Dude, it is not easy. And it is not rainbows and butterflies and unicorns. It's not a cakewalk, dude. I I was so naive, bro, because when I thought, what will I do with my life? I'm gonna play music. What's the easiest way to play music and get paid? Be a worship pastor. Like that's my process.
Right.
And although I didn't start as a worship pastor, they hired me knowing that I would lead worship on Sundays as well. So I was so naive and I thought I was oh, this is going to be so easy, dude. No, bro. It sucks. Like ministry is hard, dude. You dealing with people is messy. It's
Hmm.
so messy, bro. You know, a lot of people are like, "Oh, avoid the drama." And we're like, "Well, the drama is what I deal with." Like that I'm a pastor, so I actually am bringing the drama up with the people and we're dealing with it and taking care of it. Like we want the drama to go away, but we can't ignore it. We have to deal with it. So it's super messy. And my motivation cannot be the fact that it's easy or because I love every second of it. Like, no, dude, I freaking hate it. I've had so many moments where I've called other pastor friends who are in ministry and be like, dude, I'm quitting this week. Like, I am done. I can't take it anymore. And then being like, no, calm down, relax, and then having to realize like I'm not doing this because it's easy. I'm not doing it because I get a paycheck because the paycheck is not rock star paycheck. It's
Right.
it's a small. We work for a church. We're frugal with our money, so I'm not making a ton of money. Uh, so I'm not doing it for the money. Um, so then what? So then yeah. So what is the motivation to keep doing it? To keep going forward? It can't be any of those things. It has to be my calling and knowing that this is where God wants me. So at the end of the day, when I die, whenever that is, and and if you're a believer, then this is how it is. When you go to heaven, then you look and God's gonna say, well done, good and faithful servant, right? I want him to say that and me be like, wow, yeah, we did good, God, thank you for using me. I don't want it to be like, well, I did good, but it could have been great, like
Right, right.
so I want the motivation. I want it to be, am I getting the most out of life that I possibly can, because life is temporary. It's not going to last forever, and it's
Hmm.
like a blink, dude, is what scripture tells us. It's like a vapor, which means it's here and it's gone. Like that diffuser behind you, the freaking stuff coming out, it's gone by the time it hits the top of the screen that I'm looking at.
Hmm.
That's life, man. So do I want to get the most out of that time that I have. And the only way for me to do that, according to what I believe, is to make sure that I'm doing what God has called me to do. That's how I know that I'm going to be the best father I can be. I know that I'm going to be the best husband I can be. I know I'm going to be the best singer, the best musician, the best video editor, whatever realm it is. It has to be motivated by God is leading me. This is what God has called me to do. And the easiest thing that motivates me to do that is when I see life change happening in people because they're experiencing freedom from burdens that they have. They're happier, they're experiencing joy. They're stepping into their calling, right? I have multiple people on my team that I've seen them just like take a step and start doing something. And they didn't even realize that this is what they were good at. And now they're thriving and they're growing. And potentially that's going to be what they do for a living. Once they quit their day-to-day normal job, now they're going to be doing these things. And it was all because I played a role. It was because of God, but because of God, I got to play a role in that. I had an opportunity. So that's what motivates me. And I'm trying to get buff, dude. So I'm trying to get healthy, not just spiritually, but physically,
There you
dude.
go, man.
I've been working out and stuff because I need the mental clarity. And it's been so good to just like go to the gym and work out for an hour and turn everything off and be focused and be like, okay, God, today we're editing Christina's video and we're going to tell her story. Thank you, God, for giving me this opportunity to tell it. 9, 10. Okay, we're
There you
good. Like
go,
it's
man.
just, yeah. So, but I'm in a season right now of growth
Yeah.
because we've had so much personal reflection. Everything's shut down.
Yeah.
So you're forced to look within yourself and say, what now? What now? So it's been a good season. So that was a super long answer.
Hey, man, it's all
Uh,
good though.
but I hope, bro, thank you so much for having me on here, dude.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you
I
coming on,
talked way
man.
too much. I should have been
Ouch.
letting you talk more.
Dude, it's about you. People hear me talk all
No,
the time.
no. All right. Well, dude, uh, is this like the first conversation we've had? We were
Pro-
texting, but like
Probably, yeah.
that is so awesome, bro. So yo, it's cool because you're being used to give people a platform, and I
Hey,
think that's awesome,
that's what
dude.
I'm trying to do, man. I'm trying to build my platform so that I can give other people something to say. You
Being
know what I mean?
being
You know,
used, yeah. So
while
that's
I'm
cool.
having fun.
Yeah, because you have to grow so that you can give people more opportunity.
Yeah.
So that's cool. It's not selfish to actually promote yourself and try and grow your platform because you're actually doing it for others. It's a selfless thing if you think about it.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm
That's
trying.
cool, dude.
Is there anything that you want to plug or anything like that?
Dude, I have a clothing company.
I was going to ask you about that. I was like, do you still do that? Because I haven't seen you post about it or anything.
Oh yeah, dude, because COVID happened and I
Oh,
picked
okay.
up all the video editing.
Mm,
But the site is still up and running. People still order stuff. I see a lot of people coming into church like and they're wearing our gear. So it's cool. It's called From Death Apparel.
okay.
And the whole idea of that is it's Christian, but it's not like in your face Christian. It doesn't have to be. I kind of like it being like, oh, people, what is up with that? What is that? From death.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you wearing a skull on your shirt? Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. I love design, bro. So I started before video editing. I was doing graphic design. So I thought, man, this is a great opportunity for me to make some designs, put them on shirts. People can wear them. So yeah, if you go to fromdeathapparel.com, there's a bunch of stuff there, and you can order it, and then it gets shipped. I don't know if I've had anybody order internationally, but I think we could work out some shipping to that. But it ships to all over the U.S., free shipping, and it's cool, bro, because it's giving me an opportunity. That's not really like a huge money maker or
Right,
something
right.
where I'm
Yeah.
like, it's kind of like I was testing the waters, and it's just really cool it's another opportunity for like me to I'm artistic, so I like to use my gift. So it's something to create art and put it on somebody's chest or on their back. I don't know, it's just cool.
Yeah.
That's like something I enjoy. So I started doing that. But yeah, it's up and running. So people could go and do that and order some stuff from Death Apparel. Um, but no,
Do
I
you have
don't do
any
that much.
do you have any like solo music out or anything like that?
I should. I
You should,
should.
man.
My friend John Gillespie is gonna be mad because a few months ago we had a long conversation and he was like, "You need to do it," and I was like, "Ah, yeah, I will," and then I haven't. I still haven't yet because I could give 100 excuses.
Yeah.
But probably the main thing is I would feel comfortable doing that if I knew I was supplying like our congregation with enough music, like I was outputting enough stuff to use at our church, and I still feel like we're not. I haven't hit the mark on Like I would say when we're at a place where we're doing all of our own music and maybe a few songs.
Yeah, yeah.
Right now we're doing mostly other people's music and some of our songs. And the reason why I would love to do that is because we can write songs that are very specific to our congregation and what we're going through and the things that Pastor Ken is speaking about. Uh, which is like what Elevation does.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of their songs, when they come out, they directly correlate
It
to
has to
what
do
Pastor
right.
Steven is talking about. So,
Yep.
yeah, so I would love to do that. And I feel like if I put out a solo album right now, I'd be doing it injustice to my calling because if it took away time that I should be giving to that.
Yeah.
But, bro,
Or just a single here and there. You know what I'm saying? It don't have to be a full
Dude,
album.
I did make a single, which is probably going to come out soon.
Okay.
But it is not. It is a kid song, bro.
Oh, okay.
You know, I'm on a kid grind, dude. Okay, so I have 2 kids, and my daughter Leo. So in my house, we're always making music all the time. Dumb crap, dude.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
like Rylan will be like, he'll love dinosaurs. So he's like a T-Rex one day, and he's like freaking punching me and kicking me and acting like he's a T-Rex. And then we just start singing rock and roll songs. That's what he says. Oh, rock and roll. We'll just start making up songs about T-Rexes, right? So we just do that all the time. I hope someday that'll like inspire him to like, dude, just write music, whatever you want, just
Yeah.
sing stuff. So one of the Leo, my daughter, she's eating macaroni like a machine, dude. Just freaking downing it all one day. And so me and Rylan, we start singing, Leo loves macaroni, macaroni, macaroni. And dude, so then one day while Bethany's at work and I'm watching the kids, I recorded a legit track, dude. Like it's full
That's
production,
great, man.
bro, like high quality. And we recorded on it. So we have the track made. We got to make like a music video or something. And we'll probably put that out. I would kind of feel bad though, like if the thing that took off was this freaking macaroni song. I'd be like, after everything I've
Dude,
done,
that'd be
like
hilarious, man.
this is what but really, dude, it's just because me and Rylan and Leo, we made the song together, but I showed a couple of people and they're like, dude, you have to put this out. So,
Yeah, that's
so
great.
maybe in the next podcast we'll be talking about my new kids album that's coming out if people love it enough.
There
So,
you go. And if you ever decide to get back into like metal or anything, you know who to hit up. Like, I'll help you out.
dude, yes, bro. Yo, how metal is your title too for your podcast? And it looks metal too, bro. When I
Well,
saw you
that was
first started,
yeah, man. I mean, that was my kind of like feel for it. It was
yeah,
kind of like I want to do because I also I have a like nutritional like supplement business.
awesome.
So and I wanted to keep
So
Strong
we need to
Tower.
talk in private about getting me buff, dude.
Hey, man. But like I was training people, I was doing that. I had Strong Tower Athletics. Like this is Strong Tower Nutrition, Strong Tower Podcast. I kind of wanted to
Got
keep
it.
it under the same umbrella
I
because
love that.
Strong Tower, I got it from that song by Cutlass, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Means a lot to me.
yeah,
So, and that's what I wanted. I wanted a brand that like kind of meant something deeper than what it
yeah,
is, because I've had people ask me and I'm like, I have to go into it,
yeah,
because it's deeper than what just the title is.
yeah,
And the whole look of it, I wanted everything in the fitness industry and stuff like that looks basic. So I
yeah.
wanted like a band. So
Uh-huh.
think of like a band tee, like a band
Uh-huh.
t-shirt. I wanted
Yeah,
that
dude, that's
kind
what
of
I thought when I saw it. I
yeah.
was like, yo, is he starting a band right now, dude?
That's what I
This is
wanted.
freaking sick.
Yeah, man. That's what I wanted to look like.
Which is
So,
weird that all the fitness stuff is like all clean and crisp because like when it
yeah, I
comes
didn't
down
want
to
that.
it, like what do you put on when you're freaking working out? Some days you just gotta freaking put
Hmm.
on some metal and just go hard.
Yeah, man.
So that makes sense to me. I think it fits, bro. It's really cool, dude. I how long have you been doing it now?
What, the podcast?
Yeah, the podcast.
A little over a year.
Wow.
So this is episode 65.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
man.
awesome, dude.
Hey, I'm trying. It all started as like a just like a nutrition like
Yeah.
thing, right? And I was like, I get tired of talking about it.
Yeah.
I like so many other things, and I like talking about so many other things. And
Yeah.
I was just like, I want to do that. Kind
Yeah.
of like a like Joe Rogan vibe where he just has whoever. You never
Yeah.
know who it's gonna be. And I was like, that's what I want.
Yeah, because he kind of, so if you have the freedom to bring on whoever the heck you want, it doesn't have to
Yeah.
be specific to a subject. That's going to give you no limits. And then you have me come on and talk about random crap that has nothing to do with nutrition because I'm a skinny little twig right now.
Yeah, man, but you could play anything with strings or any kind of instrument,
Yes, I
dude.
I have a bugle at my house. I can the bugle only has 3 notes, but that's the only wind instrument I can do, bro. I tried to tackle the trumpet. Screw that, dude.
No,
That is
it's too.
that is a whole nother thing, dude. I can't even. And some people like they're only like the wind instruments. That's like their thing.
Oh, really?
Dude, I can't. Yeah, they're like, I play saxophone and clarinet. I also mastered the flute and the French horn last year. I'm on a trumpet next year. I'm like, dude, can you not? Right, bro, I'm just trying to play a C chord on my acoustic guitar. Like, it's so funny, dude.
Dude, like I had a friend growing up, and dude just played anything. Like he learned bass first, but then he started
Yeah.
playing like guitar, and he plays like
Mm-hmm.
ridiculous like ukulele. So one time at camp when we were younger, he
Yeah.
brought he brought his ukulele, right?
Uh-huh.
So our camp was like at a college, and it was like getting to close to like nighttime, and we were sitting at the bottom of the stairs outside, and there's
Yeah.
like this big like hill, right? And the sun
Mm-hmm.
is sun is setting. He's playing his ukulele, and I'm kind of like singing. I could sing a little bit before my voice
Yeah.
deepened, but
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, like these girls just come walking over the hill. It was like a movie, you
Yeah,
know?
dude. I'm just thinking I was waiting for you to say something about girls, bro.
Yeah.
It's
So they come up and they're like, oh my gosh, is that Jordan? So they come
Yo.
walking up and they're like, hey Jordan, and then they look at me. They're like, oh hi Ben. I was like,
Oh
I was like,
no.
dag on, you
Yeah, but
know.
if you were just holding a ukulele, you don't even have to play it well. You're just holding it. They're like, "Oh, he's a
But
musician."
the thing is, then later that year, I started working out, and I came back the next summer, and they saw me, and they couldn't let go of my
Uh-huh.
arms. So
Yeah, 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 yeah. So you got to have one or the other, dude. Both
yeah,
strategies are effective.
they are, man. They really are. It's
Oh my
crazy.
God. Dude, I dated a girl, and whenever she would try and break up with me, I would just write a song to win her back.
There you
It
go.
worked. It worked every time, but how toxic is that? I was such a horrible guy, dude. I'd be like, "No, but I love you. Listen, right?"
Listen
And
to
then
that.
I would record it and I would send it to her. So toxic, bro. So toxic. I'm not
Oh
that dumb
man.
anymore. I'm not that dumb.
Nah, we all were
I'm
like
grown
that
up.
when we were younger, man. We knew what worked, you
Yes.
know?
Yeah, dude. Now it's funny, bro, because now I'm married and I'm like, I don't do anything romantic for my wife,
I
which is horrible.
know.
It's horrible. I'm like, you're stuck with me now, and it's like that's the worst way to be, dude. That's the
Yeah.
worst way to be. We got to still treat our wives like we're dating them. That's what I've heard. Date your wives. So that's
Oh
what
yeah,
we
you
got to.
definitely
Yeah,
definitely
no,
I
I
mean,
haven't. I
it's hard to
haven't done the
now,
best of it.
but
Yeah, yeah, and we got 2 kids too, so it's like all the more important to
yeah.
like be intentional about it. So we're actually going away this week. We're going up to Pigeon Forge, which is like up in the mountains in Tennessee,
Oh
and
wow,
we're
okay.
going up to meet my grandparents there, and they have a motor home, and they stay out for like a month, and then we're just gonna drive up and stay with them for a week. So that should be good. It's relaxing, dude.
There you go, man.
That's what I would say to anybody in ministry. Go take a vacation.
Yeah.
Actually, anybody.
Right.
You need to have a
Oh, I tell
vacation.
people that too. I'm like, don't let your work, what do they say? Don't live to work to live.
No. Yeah, 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 yeah. So I have a lot of people in my sphere of influence who are like highly successful business people, lawyers, doctors. A lot of them are wealthy. They've done well in life, right? And all of them always have trips planned. Like
Hmm.
they know when the next one is. And like small talk with them isn't like, "Hey, how you doing?" That's not what they say. They'll be
Hmm.
like, "So you got any trips planned coming up?" Like they always have something that they're looking forward to
Right.
because I think that either comes with a type of person who thinks that way,
Mm-hmm.
ends up making them successful, or their success is dependent on pacing yourself and having those things to look forward to. Either way, it's a good move to start like doing that, saying, okay, well, I'm going to set some time aside every year. These are the weeks where I'm going to request off. I'm going to make sure I'm free. I'm not going to work. I'm going to allow myself to be fully accessible to my family because that's key. And all those people who work super hard, they also have times where they turn off and they don't work at all.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, I'm good. I'm done. It's funny, dude, because sometimes we'll have them serving in the church and they're like switching slides on a computer, and you're like, you are literally a rocket scientist because we have that here in this area. This is where they launch the rockets
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
Space Coast. It's like right a couple like 40 minutes north. So we have rocket scientists in our area, and yeah, we have they're like switching slides in a computer, and they love it because they don't have to make any decisions. They don't have to stress about it. They just know they hit next when the next line comes up, and like they love that, and they're the most faithful volunteers, and they always come in to serve. So it's just funny. It's just fun. It's cool, dude. It's cool how God allows people to be used in all these different ways. But yeah, no, the main point was go have a vacation.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So, dude. Anyway, how long have we been going, dude?
What are we at? We're at 141, man.
Oh my gosh, how long do you normally go for?
Well, like, usually I can go like forever, like how long we can, you know. But usually
Yeah.
people only go like an hour.
Well, I
You know what I
talk a
mean?
lot, so
Nah,
that
man, that's perfect. That's perfect. Because
it's just funny, dude.
sometimes I'll get people that don't talk as much, and I have to like try and force things out of them, you know,
Mm,
and it's kind of tough for me. But I've gotten
I can
better at it.
imagine.
But with you, man, I just lay back and just, you know, sit back and
That's
relax.
terrible. Bro, one of the thing somebody gave me advice and I still haven't put it in my heart and used it in every area, but I say you need to hand out your opinions and your thoughts like they're $100 bills, not $1 bills, right? Because
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Just like,
hey, it's
hey,
my
you're making
opinion.
it
This
rain,
is
man.
everything I think. This is all my thoughts. So I
Yeah,
just put
yeah.
them out there. And like the smartest person in the room is the dude who in a meeting he doesn't say anything, and then at the end, after everybody has said their piece, then you say, hey, what do you think? You haven't said anything. And then they're probably going to drop some bomb because they've been listening, understanding, come up with a response, and here it is. And then it's like, oh, well,
Well,
yeah, that was,
you know what's
uh,
funny about that is like I had someone say that about me because in high school, I can't remember why we were doing this, but we had this guy come in and we were all in the gym and we all like he put us in separate groups with like people we never like talked to,
yeah,
you know? And
yeah,
so I remember I
that's a
was in
good
this
exercise.
yeah, and he was like, I want each one of you to say something about another person, like
Yeah,
a positive thing or something
yeah.
like that. Someone and so this girl was like, "Ben, you're really quiet." I was like, "Well, everyone knows that." You know what I mean? She was like, "But
Yeah,
when you have something to say, people listen." I was
yeah.
like, "Whoa." I was like, "I had no idea someone thought that about me."
That's
You know
what
what I mean?
happens when you shut up.
I was like, "Yeah, when you sit back and listen, like and that's the thing about the podcast is like I get to listen to people and what they have to say." You
Yeah,
know, because
I
me,
think that's,
I tell the same stories all the time, so I get sick of it. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So listen to other people and hear about their experiences and their perspective on things. It's just more fun for me.
Dude, is that not the problem with our society that people don't listen to each other?
Exactly, that's exactly the problem.
They're trying to get you to hear them.
Hmm.
They're trying to be understood
Yeah,
instead of understand.
it's whoever
And
talks
I
the loudest. Yeah.
yeah, dude. And
Hmm.
that's the biggest problem. That's the biggest problem with everything because nobody's listening, dude. We need to shut up and listen more. Proverbs says that even a fool may seem wise if he shuts his mouth.
Oh,
So that's
yeah.
like, dude, you could be really stupid, but if you just be quiet, people are like, oh, he is so
He's like,
wise.
he must know
But like
something.
seriously,
Yeah.
that's the key. That's the key, bro. Because if you don't talk a lot, then when you do talk, it has a lot more value. You're handing out $100 bills instead of $1 bills.
Yeah.
I don't do that. That's how you get a minute and 40 or an hour and 40-minute podcast, because I'm sitting here just telling you everything I think right off the bat, which gets me into trouble too, dude, because I don't, sometimes you got to pause and like, well, hold on, should I say this? And then,
Yeah.
I don't feel like we had a moment that here, but I've had meetings where I should have just shut my mouth, and instead I'm dealing with somebody and I say what I immediately think, and then I wait like 5 minutes later and I'm like, I don't actually think that. Why did I say that? Like, that's not
Right.
actually my opinion. And I think that's the other thing about being quiet, is you allow yourself to grow. You allow yourself more room for growth, because nowadays if you say something, that becomes like a part of who you are, as people are going to perceive you that way. So if I say, like in politics, if I say I'm voting for this person, well, now you've automatically just put on your character like a specific set of things that are associated with that person. Now that becomes who you are.
Exactly.
Now tomorrow you may hear something and you're like, oh, oh my God, they did what? I am not voting for that candidate. And too late, because you already
You put a
said it.
label.
And
Yeah. You put a mark on your back. You put a label on your back. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If it's a small group of people, then that's how they perceive you. But if it's something like this, now you publicly put it out and people can go back and refer to it. And so you have to be careful. You got to listen more, and sometimes I say, I've heard Pastor Ken say this and a lot of other smart people in my life. So I like to say it sometimes, like, this is what I think, but I reserve my right to change my mind in the next 5 minutes.
There you go.
Like, I'm going to tell you what I think, but I
Yeah.
reserve the right to change my mind. And I think if we approach things more with that, it's an open mind, dude. Like, so I'm going to be willing to grow and willing to change. And the only way that we can do that is by listening. Oh, dude. Yeah, I think that would change our world, dude.
Oh, definitely would.
Sides aren't listening to each other. They just want to be heard.
Yeah.
They want to be heard by their constituents, or by their friends, or by the person that they're arguing with on Facebook. Dude, Facebook's so gross right now, dude.
Man, it's.
And Twitter too. I don't follow Twitter as much. I spend a lot of time on Facebook because that's where the majority of our church congregation is. So, and dude, it's just like, we have people in our church. Dude, would you believe there are Democrats and Republicans that are Christians?
Yeah.
Would you believe that?
Oh my gosh. Who would have thought?
Can you
Who
believe,
would have thought?
like, and the Republicans right now are like, no, not them, and Democrats are thinking, no, not Republicans. Like, no, yeah. There are Christians, there are Democrats and Republicans, and some churches are heavily Republican or Democrat. Here, we're pretty even split because we have so many different kinds of people.
Yeah.
So you have people on Facebook, and this is the thing, as Christians, not just as Christians, as nice people, everybody listening right now, think about this. When you post something, say you post something in support of one candidate, like within our church, we have people who are like, I just haven't been coming to church. I've been so discouraged by all the posts that I've seen all the church people make. And these are people that they're friends with, people that they're friends with. And I know if we have Jim and Sally, and Jim posts something that's offensive to Sally, and Sally's hurt by it, and she's saying, well, he supports this candidate, and I just can't do that because for whatever, and maybe a personal story, somehow she's been personally impacted by it. For a lot of people in minorities, they take Donald Trump as racist. And so if you are pro-Trump, you are anti-black. And whether that's true or not, that is often how they perceive it.
Of course.
And so by Jim posting hashtag all lives matter, BLM is a bunch of bull crap, then Sally, who maybe is a black woman, she's like, this dude doesn't love me. And now I'm hurt and I'm broken because he posted this blanket statement. And so we have to be more careful about what we're saying, because if we want to love people, your Facebook post is not going to change anybody's mind, you freaking idiot. Like, dude,
exactly.
come on.
There's no point in trying to There's no point in trying to argue and trying to, it's funny. It's more entertaining to me than anything. I don't even get mad at it. It's just
entertaining. It is entertaining, but it can be toxic.
Oh, it's very toxic.
Can be. If you're able to look at it from a healthy place and stand back and be like, this is freaking hilarious, because none of it matters, right? Look at how worked up Jim is getting and Sally. But then when you hear behind it, well, Sally's not entertained by it; she's hurt by it, and then we have to bridge that gap and create healing. Whereas if Jim had just kept his mouth shut
Mm-hmm.
and listened,
Yeah.
see, this is what we're talking about, and listened and said, instead of saying, he could have posted a post and said, uh, I don't understand the idea behind this. Can someone please help me understand? And
Yeah.
legit approach it with a humble heart,
Mm-hmm.
because he can't tell Sally his perspective if he doesn't understand hers first.
Exactly, because that's the reason we all have opinions on different things. That's the reason we support different people. It's because we
Yeah.
experience different things. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So what are you going to say? So you don't like that person because they support a different candidate?
Yeah.
That means you're saying you don't support their experience that they've been through, which is why, because that's exactly why they're supporting that candidate, you know?
So it becomes a part of who they are. So when you attack
Right.
that candidate, you attack them, and
So
now
that's
they
why
get on the
people feel
defensive.
attacked. Yeah. I'm just like, I
Yeah.
sit back and just listen to it. Dude, I've never watched the debate in my life, but
Yeah.
this year I was so into it. I was looking forward to it because I was laughing.
Wow.
It was
Yeah.
hilarious. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It was
What
just entertaining.
what a it was a joke, dude. I mean, like, it was
That's
really here. The aspect for me is I have lots of family and friends in Australia and all over the world.
yeah.
And I'm watching it and I'm thinking, oh, great. They're gonna freaking see this.
Yep.
And this is America.
Hey, well,
This is what they're gonna see.
every country has their issues. I think ours are
Yeah.
just more publicized.
Everybody watches it. Bro, when
Everybody.
I was in Australia, there was so much news about America all the time. All the time.
Yeah.
I've never watched American news and heard. I mean, dude, the UK had this huge thing with Brexit where Britain left the European Union,
Mm-hmm.
and there was this big debacle. In France, you had these protests of the workers, I think they were called the Yellow Vests, and they were protesting again. Like, dude, this is like countries turned upside down. Bro, America was like, didn't even blink, dude.
I
Like,
know.
I didn't see any of that stuff in the news. You had to like go to these like you had to go to the news outlets of the other countries to find out.
Right.
And so now that in one way it's like, wow, everybody likes to, dog up on America and
Mm-hmm.
be like, because we're the big dog in the fight, right? So
Mm-hmm.
everybody wants to gang up on us.
Oh
But in
yeah.
another way, it's damaging to Americans because we tend to live in a bubble and we're not paying attention to the rest of the world.
Right.
And if you don't leave America, you have this messed up worldview because you think everything happens here and everything's based on here, and you don't realize that no, there's like all these other cultures, all these other experiences, and all these other things. And I think if people realize that, they wouldn't be so caught up in a lot of the American politics and stuff, because you'd realize like it's not as important as you think it is. Like,
Right.
it is important. It certainly is important, because there's an old saying that when America sneezes, the world catches a cold.
Yeah.
Like, so that's the concept of like, whatever we do, the rest of the world follow. If our economy crashes, everybody's economy crashes.
Mm-hmm.
If we go into a recession, we're bringing the whole world with us.
And that's the
If
thing
we,
when with like even with COVID, like everyone here is like, well, look at how these countries did it.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? I was like, we're not the same. We're
no,
not the
no,
same. They have one set of people pretty much. We have a variety of different people
America
that
is
we're
so
trying to
unique,
control.
dude.
It's so
Yeah,
different, you
so
know?
different. The way that our economy is set up is unlike any other country. A
Yeah.
lot of other countries have a version of it, a version of capitalism,
Mm-hmm.
but there's often a lot of regulations that put limits on it. And so and we probably need some more regulations in some areas and less regulations in other areas, but
Mm-hmm.
we were the first ones to do that, and everybody followed suit. And then same thing with our politics. We enacted this democracy,
Mm-hmm.
a democratic republic, which is different from anything at the time. And now a lot of other countries have incorporated some level of democracy into their politics. But like, a lot of issues where it works in Australia and it works in the UK and it works in Europe and it does not work here because to implement it would require an entire upheaval of our entire like system, which some people want and someday we may need. But right now, it would be. I think it's like all is the juice worth the squeeze because you're
Right.
gonna undo all of this other stuff to enact this, which is yeah, it could help or not. Whereas like a lot of those other countries, they like here's a perfect example, bro, with gun control, which is something the first thing that people asked when I went to Australia.
Yeah.
That would be the number one thing. Oh, you're American. They would say, oh, what do you have any guns? What do you think about guns? And I would say, well, I believe people should have a right to protect themselves. I personally don't own any guns, but
Hmm.
I have family members who own guns. I don't think you should take everybody's guns away.
Right.
And they're like, oh nah, you guys have mass murders all the time because in Australia, I believe it was in 1993, they had a mass shooting,
Hmm.
and so what they did is immediately they enacted gun control. And dude, it wasn't like it is here where you have the Democrats and the Republicans
Right.
opposing one another on this. Uh, in Australia, both parties agreed to it.
Yeah.
Now it's not in their constitution; they don't have the whole Second Amendment thing.
Hmm.
So they had a clean slate. It was bipartisan.
Hmm.
And probably the biggest factor is that when they turned in all their firearms, the total amount for the entire country was like less than 200,000 firearms. It's like 175,000 firearms were turned
Oh,
in, and
geez, that's
everyone turned
nothing.
them in willingly.
Yeah,
Bro, that's like
dude.
my zip code.
That's
It's like my,
that's what I'm saying.
my
That's less than what's in Texas. You know what I'm saying? Like,
dude, the state of Florida has like I think over a million registered firearms.
oh
So
yeah,
and that's registered because you also have unregistered that
oh
aren't
yeah,
on the system. We don't know where they are. So when people say, well, you should just do what we did, and it's like, bro,
not the
the
same.
logistics behind that is
Hmm.
not even feasible. Like,
Right.
how would you create a program to allow people to turn in that many firearms, and what would you do with
And
them?
also,
And
our black market and stuff like that is ridiculous. People are gonna get them
yeah,
anyway when it is illegal,
exactly.
and they're gonna kill the people that handed them willingly.
Exactly. But we have
So
a culture that's built around firearms and celebrating the design of them
hmm.
and how they work and how they function and there's hunting and all that. Dude, that also doesn't exist in Australia.
Yeah.
Like if you think only 175 firearms were turned in, most of them rifles.
Hmm.
So this was probably a lot of landowners who had them, and you could still own, I think if you have a certain amount of property, then you can own like a certain caliber of firearm. But like nobody's there's no concealed carry. And then you have like in the UK where they have armed police officers and unarmed police officers, and to be an armed police officer is like a higher level. But I don't know if most, but a lot of police officers they don't even have a gun, and that's like one of the changes that they've done more
Wow.
recently. And it's like, dude, you could not do that here.
Yeah, it couldn't.
You could not do that here. But there needs to be some changes. Like America is certainly one of the reasons that I think we've been so successful over the years is because we have changed, we have grown. Probably not fast enough,
Yeah.
but we had 13 states. Now we have 50. We had slavery. Now we don't have slavery.
Hmm.
Women couldn't vote, but now they can vote. And like a lot of those changes happen in other countries too. But some countries didn't make the change. There was a
Yeah.
huge uprising and a revolution undid their entire government and they had to build from the ground up. America has flexed on each of these changes. I think it's why we have the oldest still active constitution of any other country, which is
Hmm.
crazy to think about because the constitution is only 1776. It's
I know
not
we're still
really
babies. Like this
that's
country's still a baby. Yeah.
but think there's no acting constitution that's been in place longer than ours, which means all those other countries had revolutions after us.
Hmm.
So the fact that they are where they are and we are where we are, I think is a testimony. It's a testament to Americans' like ability to flex and grow and change. And right now, we need to listen so that we can continue doing that. Because I think it is a fork right now. It's a fork in the road,
Oh
dude.
yeah.
Every empire falls eventually. The Romans aren't ruling the world anymore.
Yeah.
The Great Alexander the Great, his the lands he conquered, they got divided up when he died. Like he wasn't there's no longer Attila the Hun. He conquered huge swaths of land, and the Huns don't run everything anymore. Like
Yeah.
so, uh, all of those empires eventually fell. And so to think and be naive that America's gonna be around forever, yeah, it might be around forever, but probably won't always have the influence that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we want to continue to live in prosperity and give people opportunities that America allows here, we have to acknowledge that some people don't have those opportunities even within our borders, and we've got
Mm-hmm.
to do everything we can to give people those opportunities so that we can keep being the greatest country in the world. My Australian friends are gonna freaking kill me, dude. They say that
They hate
that
that.
is yeah, well, but yeah, they say Australia is the greatest country in the world. It's good to be patriotic. We're a little over the top, Americans.
Yeah.
Like when you go through a neighborhood in Australia, there's not Australian flags flying everywhere. That's that is
Mm.
that is a solely American thing, dude. Like when you drive down my parents' neighborhood, every single mailbox has an American flag off of it.
Well,
So
Mason Cox. He plays for Collingwood Magpies.
okay,
He's
no,
American.
I don't. He's
He
American?
he's American. He only American in the AFL. He's like 6'10" or something like that.
What,
And
dude?
they'll bring American flags to the games and
That's
stuff.
cool.
Yeah.
Australians love Americans. They do. They love Americans, but there's usually they have a couple things that, like they don't get it. Like they don't get the gun control thing. That would the
Yeah.
second thing they would ask me is what did you think of what do you think about Obama? Because at the time Obama was in,
Right.
and they loved Obama, so they would say, oh, much better than that Bush guy, right? That's what they would say to me. And I'm like, yeah, at the time I wasn't really like into politics. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm pretty indifferent. Like my life hasn't changed significantly from either
Yeah.
dude.
Same
So
way. Yeah. I'm the same way.
now they have Trump and they're like, what are you guys thinking? But
Yeah.
they're in another country. They're outside. They have the UK. They elected in their own little knockoff Trump. I don't know if you've seen him. Their prime minister right now. He looks like Trump. He
Oh,
talks like
really?
Trump. Yeah, bro. He has like the bad blonde hair and everything, dude. So that's it's funny that they are watching it. The rest of the world watches
Well,
us,
and
dude.
also like Australians are more tough too, I think, because they handle
Ha-
things like themselves, like conflicts themselves, which is why the AFL is the way they are. You know what I mean? Like guys I played with, like they were
Yeah.
just tough dudes.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like
Bro,
one dude
when you
peed in his
see
shorts. He didn't even leave the field. He peed on the field.
bro, you see guys like kick the ball and you're like they just like when they you just you would kill every dude in the NFL right now, and you're not even because they all have to kick and they all have to what is it bunt or punch,
Handball,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
they're
yeah.
all and bro, you try and dribble a football,
Oh,
yeah,
dude,
freaking right, dude. They're
yeah,
just
it's tough.
running with it. You're like, what
It's
are
tough.
how's but yeah, they have a saying in Australia, cut down the tall poppy, which is
Okay.
basically referring to the poppy plant. So if you walk into a room and you think you're better than everybody else, they
Oof.
will all cut you down, bro. And if you're an American, you don't even have to act tough. They just know you already think that, so they're gonna bring you down to their level.
Mm,
And then so dude, that was humbling too,
yeah.
living in Australia and realizing that. But they'll cut you down. You have like a lawyers and doctors are best friends with like electricians and plumbers, and
Hmm.
there is no caste system in Australia when it comes to like social groups because they have that culture like, well, if you think you're better, we're going to cut you down because we're all equal here. And I think that's and so it makes you tougher. And their comedy is a bit harsh. They're very sarcastic, and that got Bethany into trouble at first when she moved here because people were like,
Oh, yeah,
Bethany's
yeah,
Bethany's very mean. I'm like, nah, she likes you.
yeah.
She just she's just sarcastic,
That's
dude.
great.
That's just how they are. But I love that. I love that about Australians because
Oh, dude, I love it too, man.
nobody takes themselves too seriously, and it really allows for like people to have conversations. They have their own conflict, dude. I see them posting political stuff too on
Oh,
Facebook.
yeah.
So they have their own set of issues. I don't think it'll ever completely go away.
Yeah, man.
But I think we can all be responsible and say, I'm going to commit to not contribute to the bull crap.
Oh, of
I'm going
course,
to
man.
I'm gonna try to be loving and listen.
Yeah,
That seems to be the theme for this. We need to listen.
yeah.
And I'm not doing a lot of that right now, but
No, I mean, no,
yeah,
you're
listen.
completely right. I mean, and I think that's why I find it entertaining because that's what I've chose to do is just sit back and listen. Like, of course I have my opinions. Of course I have, the way I'm gonna vote. But
Yeah,
I like to sit back and I like to watch, people like try and convince other people. And
yeah.
all you're doing is yelling. And you're just
It's
trying to
not.
make this person seem
Yeah,
like they're awful person for believing one thing,
yeah.
you
Which
know?
is horrible.
And I
Which
hate
is
that.
horrible.
I was like, what makes you better? You know what I mean?
No. Yeah, because we all, and it's based on your experiences,
Of
so
course.
a lot of that comes from an insecurity. Like that's the whole white fragility that everybody talks about. That's like if you say all white people are racist, and if you immediately get defensive and start, well, I'm not a racist, I got this and that, it's like, well, why are you getting so defensive? Like, you get really, really defensive, and there's that white fragility thing, and it's like there's that. But I think the idea of becoming defensive in areas that we're insecure is true in every aspect outside of racism or white fragility or any of that. Like,
Hmm.
if you are insecure about, like, say, with your politics, right? If you believe what you believe but you don't know it that well,
Yeah,
like, you
yeah.
you don't really, you pick that, it aligns with most of your beliefs,
Hmm.
but you're not a well-read scholar in the area of politics. Like,
Right,
you're
right.
not a political pundit, but
Hmm.
we all act like we are, because when we get attacked or somebody starts poking holes in our opinions and our theories,
Hmm.
we immediately just start filling that holes with our fingers and just start yelling
Yeah.
and saying, well, no, oh, that's not true. Well, that's not, how racist of you to say that. And we're now we got our
This is
fingers in
name
all the
calling.
holes,
Yeah, yeah,
and we look like idiots,
yeah.
bro.
Yep.
Because
Hmm.
reality is, it all comes from a place of insecurity. Because here, when you talk about political pundits and scholars,
Hmm.
a lot of them, they don't yell,
Yeah.
and they're not. Some of them have gotten very emotional, but
Hmm.
oftentimes it's not based out of emotion. It's just like level-headed, cool. They're giving facts because they know that what they believe is based on facts. And by the way, if you poke a hole in one of mine, I'm cool with that because I want to be able to believe what I believe because it's the best option,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
because I just picked it like it's my favorite color.
And also,
Like,
I think that's the other thing that you said. Like, I think it's a lot of motion. We can't think with our emotions.
that's why I work out, dude.
You,
That's the number one reason why I started working out, because
there
I
you
was
go.
I'm looking up, how do I take control of my emotions? How do I deal with stress better? And every article that you read, number one, two, or three is going to be exercise.
Hmm.
So that's why I was like, I got to do that.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
I find that helps. I
yeah, I
find that.
mean, I deal with like everyone, I have a little bit like anxiety, depression. I probably have like a day, a month where I get
Yeah.
bad, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But dude, working out and exercising, no matter what way you're doing it, has helped
Mm,
me so much.
yeah.
I had people doctors tell me I need to go on pills, people
Yeah.
beg me to take medication. I'm just like, "No, I want to do it myself." I
Right.
don't want that. I want to be able to get through it myself and understand it more. You know,
Yeah.
I don't want to. I don't rag on people that go to therapy and stuff because a lot of people need to talk to somebody. I
Yeah.
understand
That's
that.
healthy. That's
Yeah,
good.
of course. But I know myself well enough that I'm not gonna do well with that
Yeah.
because I've done it before and I hated that person.
Yeah.
Because she was just tearing down everything around me,
Yeah.
and I was like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
So I was just like, let me figure it out myself and really learn
Mhm.
more. And that's really how I've grown mentally. I've really been able to focus on that, and physically, I've been working out for a long time. I
Yeah.
competed in bodybuilding. I did all that, and I'm just trying to stay healthy right now. I don't care about what
Yeah.
my body looks like right now. I'm just focusing on staying healthy, staying strong
Yeah.
and just trying to move forward with my life. And I think that's really like just how I'm living right now. That's just where I'm at,
Mm.
but
Yeah.
it does that working out helps with so many things that people don't even know. not just your weight.
Bro, that's what I actually don't care about like getting buff. The
Oh yeah,
number
of
one
course, yeah.
reason why I worked out was for the mental benefits that I was reading about that I knew I needed. So, and I have, if nothing else, bro, it's made me feel like I accomplished something. Like, dude, when I work out, I'm like, I I I did something. It's
Yeah.
so tangible, and I am motivated by like checklists. So like when I see things being checked off, that gets me going. I feel motivated to keep going, to keep doing stuff. Like some people aren't motivated by that, but I'm motivated by like, here's a task. It was completed. I achieved my goal. Good job.
Mm-hmm.
So like with working out, it's like I'm going in, I'm going to work out. And I did this machine and I did that machine and then I did this and I did that and then I leave and I'm like I completed it all. Like I just feel accomplished, which motivates me to do more. And my mind is in a place of like get stuff done. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's the place that it helps me be. And dude, sometimes I don't work out in the mornings because I know I'm gonna have a meeting and I'm like, that meeting's probably gonna be stressful. So I'm gonna leave my
After.
lunch open. So after I'm done, and it helps also because in the moment I'm like, I don't need to arc up right now because I'm gonna have an outlet. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to yell and get all mad and upset because I know after this is done, I can go and like work out and it's gonna be fine.
Exactly.
So it's also give me like something to look forward to and be. But so yeah, it has helped a lot. And because people always, if you do it based on like weight loss, I think it's way harder
It is a
because
lot
I mean,
harder.
you're the expert, but because you're not going to see 10 pounds shed the first time you work out.
Of course, you're right.
So like, but you probably will feel like some mental like rise and there's going to be some positive aspects happen up here
Of course.
before it happens in your body. So the fact that that was my motivation to begin with, I think has helped me to do it. I'm only like 3 months in, but
Hey,
I
that's
love
longer
it.
than a lot of people, though.
I never get like at the beginning, like when I heard people be like, I'm addicted to working out. I just love it when my arms are sore. It feels so great. And I'm like, you're weird, dude. Like you are a freak, bro. I don't know why you would want to be in pain and how that is like good for you.
Well, for me, I'm one of
That's
those.
weird.
I'm one of those.
Yeah.
So
But
for
now I understand it.
yeah, so for me, I like to be sore because it's that validation. It's just like you
Yeah,
did something. You know what I mean?
exactly.
A lot of times, like I know you don't have to be sore to know you had a good workout, but for me,
Yeah.
that's just how I feel it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's hard. It started off pretty hard for me because I used to train like an animal,
Yeah.
and now I don't.
Mm,
So it was hard to get that mentality like I don't have to train like I used to.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And it just really like now it's probably like a half hour. Like, you know what I mean? And I have a gym in my basement.
Yeah, but you're at the level where you're probably more sustaining than gaining, right?
Oh yeah, I mean I'm not trying to lose, I'm not trying to gain, I still eat relatively healthy.
Yeah.
Um, I work out, I focus on doing things for my brain.
Mm-hmm.
I try and think about things again, like I write stuff down and all these kind of things. And I don't know, just trying to, focus on longevity more than anything.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
but yeah, man, let's wrap it up. And it's been over 2 hours.
Bro, oh my God, bro. This is the first podcast I've ever done. Can you tell? You could tell.
I don't know, man,
Yeah.
because you did good.
I do talk a lot, so I
Hey,
don't have a
it
problem doing
works.
that.
It
But
works. It's
this,
perfect.
man, I thank you so much for having me come on, dude.
Hey, dude, thanks for agreeing to it and coming on and just, I'm glad we got to talk as long as we did.
Yeah, let's not let this be the only time we ever chat, bro.
Oh, yeah, man. Definitely.
Or yeah, when you come down to Florida, if you move down here, or if you come visit, bro, if you're in Orlando, just come freaking meet me, bro. Just
Yeah,
meet
man.
up.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's something that we're definitely like. I constantly just look at places to see what it's going for and stuff like that. I don't
So
know.
looking Melbourne, Palm Bay,
Okay.
Brevard County. That's like this is where it's at. You're on the beach. It's Space Coast. It's a very fast growing community, so it's a good time to get in now. The housing market is crazy
I'm
because
sure. I'm sure.
everybody's moving, but dude, it's a great area raised kids, you're by the beach, you got Disney an hour away. Definitely take a date night in Orlando.
Sounds good.
And I'm here, so
There you go.
hey, I was kidding.
All right, man.
All right, bro.
Thanks
well,
again,
thanks, man.